Hello and welcome to The Insider. I'm Lisa Adams. Welcome to our viewers and to our listeners on the radio. We're continuing today with our somewhat COVID-19 focused editions of the program, but today it's all about a new collaboration to help provide counseling for at-risk youth in the inner city, especially after crime has occurred. My guests are Paul Lukacs, who is Executive Director of the Crime Victim Center, and Mike Chevalier, President and CEO of Preferred Systems, Inc., two organizations that have recently formed a collaboration to tackle unique needs of inner city youth. But we're going to start by backing up a little bit and talking about what each of your respective organizations does. So first, Paul, tell us about the Crime Victim Center and how its role has maybe evolved and expanded over the years.
So the Crime Victim Center is almost 50 years old, and we were started as the Rape Crisis Center so many years ago to serve people who are affected by sexual assault and rapes in our community. Since then, laws have evolved, safeties have evolved, and justice system has evolved to really help in those organizational needs. And this allows us to expand to serve people who have been affected by all types of crime. So although we are the specialists and the preferred go-to for sexual assault and rape cases, we also serve people affected by any type of crime. It could be a home invasion, it could be a car break-in, it could be a mugging, it could be bullying, it could be a cybercrime. We are involved in all of those things, providing not only justice and advocacy to those people who've been affected by crime, but also counseling, restitution, victim compensation services, and then we have a very robust education and prevention service as well to try to mitigate and lessen these types of crimes in our community.
So as we talk here, we can take a look at your organization's logo, and we can take a look also sort of at your mission. So you talked about expanding your services here, or really fanning out to cover more types of things. So can you give us a sense of how many people you help in a typical year? And I know you are the Crime Victim Center, not just for the city, but of the whole county, to offer help, hope, and healing.
Yes, that's correct. We serve between 6,200 and 7,000 people affected by crime and their loved ones every year in Erie County. We also do more than 18,000 face-to-face educational experiences for children, youth, and adults through our community. So it's quite an expansive effort on our part, but we believe that we are responsible for all 270-some thousand people in Erie County, and we try to make services available to everyone.
Talk about what the COVID-19 pandemic has meant for your work. I mean, what you're doing is very relational, very intimate at times, where people need to really be talking to someone that they trust and developing a relationship of trust. So has a lot of that had to shift to being digital interactions, and how's that working?
Yeah, it has, and we were very fortunate to find really good mechanisms to do some of our work virtually, including the counseling in a secure and confidential way. And a lot of our clientele have really taken to that and have liked it. We actually think we've expanded services in that area because people who otherwise wouldn't have been able to get to us face-to-face can now digitally and virtually, which is really good. We still are striving to see people in person. We still are the advocates, and we will be in the courtroom and doing all of those things like we always have. And we still run our 24-hour crisis hotline, which is in person for people who need us now and they need somebody in person to be there, whether it's with interaction with police or interaction with medical services. So those things are still happening, but it's been a difficult and challenging time, but we've also been able to kind of find a silver lining and experience new programs and new ways to roll them out that clients seem to really appreciate.
Well, let's now flip it over to Mike and ask you to explain what Preferred Systems is about. How long has it been around? And your focus is more on training those who work in this space?
We've been providing drug, alcohol, gambling, and violence prevention programs within the school districts, primarily in the Erie School District as well as in the Catholic school system, for about the past 15 years. We receive our funding from a grant that we have from the Erie County Drug and Alcohol programs. And we focus in, we do evidence-based programs, and we basically set our prevention specialists, we embed them in the school system, and we do educational programs, and we focus in on self-esteem, decision-making, responsibilities, where they fit in, and try to get them to talk about themselves, peer relationships, and making the right decisions. And we've, again, during this whole pandemic, have had to basically reinvent ourselves as to how we present, because everything's virtual. And the school districts have been very good on letting us work with the kids in their system. They have a system called Schoolology. We work with the teachers, we work with the guidance counselors, and all the behavioral health specialists in the schools, so that we can present our programs. And the kids, we're an asset. The kids, we're working with the kids. And during this period of time, a lot of the kids are experiencing a lot of problems. They're isolated, they're in the homes, and a lot of kids are having problems adjusting to it. And they're identified by our staff, by the teachers and the principals, and we work with those kids who are having the specific problems that are identified.
Just quickly, if I might ask, are you experiencing a similar thing that Paul and the CVC are experiencing? I mean, obviously you can't help a person if they don't come to talk to you. And so are you finding that it actually opens some doors, that kids might feel more comfortable if they're in their own home setting and they're doing this digitally?
A lot of kids open up to our people. The people that we employ are part of the community itself, and they're known by the kids. They have special relationships with the kids. They've been working with the kids that we're dealing with now they start working with them at the age at the 3rd grade level, and we go up until the 8th grade level, and there's consistency there. So there's a trust that's built with our prevention specialists. So a lot of these kids have been working with them for years, and because of the relationships that they have, they're willing to talk to them, they're willing to get involved with them, and deal with some of the problems that they're dealing with.
So we know that gun violence among youth, especially in the inner city, is making a comeback after some significant initiatives to kind of curb that for a number of years. So what's the problem now? You've alluded to some of it here. And how is it emerging? We're going to talk about that when we come back. Stay with us. I'm Lisa Adams. Welcome back to The Insider. My guests today are Paul Lukacs, Executive Director of the Crime Victim Center, and Mike Chevalier, President and CEO of Preferred Systems, Inc., 2 organizations collaborating to tackle the unique needs of inner city youth. So how would you characterize the crime issue in the inner city right at this moment in time? I mean, for a long while the focus was on groups, whether you call them gangs or affiliations, and also on some family systems that seem to be at war with each other, retaliating back and forth. Where are we now from what you're seeing in your work, and maybe what's unique about inner city kids?
This is a very complex concern, absolutely, and yes, the gun violence and violence in general is going up. I think because of COVID, there's a lot of frustration, and people aren't sure how to reasonably deal with the emotions and the stress that they're feeling. We also see that there's an uptick in domestic violence and sexual assault because of the same situation. But the biggest problem, I believe, is that we don't have enough good role modeling. We don't have enough reasonable and responsible adults in parenting that show young people how to effectively deal with situations that come up that cause them stress, and also provide that just good role modeling just by living a healthy lifestyle and modeling that, which I think is such a big chunk of responsibility that Preferred Systems is taking on to make some of these things come to fruition in a positive way in our community.
This is a tough time. We've never gone through a period like this before, especially the duration that we've had, the isolation, the fact that we can't get together. People like to socialize. People like to do things together. We're told that we have to hunker down. We have to be alone in our house, and for kids to be alone, to not get out. We work with the housing authority. We work with the different social events, and kids like to to play and to be social and to get involved. And you're telling them, no, you have to be at home and to just do things that they've never done before and to interact on a computer and learn on a computer. And for kids, this is all new, and they've never done this before, and they're social beings. And the same thing with their parents. To put that stress on a parent to say you gotta be in the house, you gotta help your kids and be there from morning to night. It's tough. It's tough for everybody, and the stresses are out there. So we're seeing a lot of, like Paul was saying, a lot of substance abuse, a lot of domestic violence that's out there. And what we're trying to do is provide the support to the family and to interact with the family to show them that there's other ways of dealing with it and coping with it.
Well, sometimes Paul talked about the role models too. I mean, sometimes we've heard that the school day is the best thing for some children if their home life isn't good, where a teacher takes an interest in them or they see that they can have some academic success. So the frustrations that you're both talking about, very interesting. You mentioned some of these key things, these key factors, and we can take a look at those that, as you said, trust, self-esteem, responsibilities, home and school life, peer relationships that are maybe kind of missing right now, and then just making the right decisions. So again, the pandemic, because it's isolating kids, is this just making it so much tougher?
So much tough. Kids want to be with other kids, and they want to be with other people. They want to get out there and interact. And right now we're telling them, no, you can't do these things. And all their forms of social interactions have come to an end. And just being alone it's tough.
Well, just one quick question that's maybe sort of on the flip side of that. Some of the other kids they want to be with may not be good role models or may not be good influences. So has there been any benefit to being kind of back at home and kind of settling down a little bit? Again, does that really depend on what the home situation is like?
It absolutely depends on what the home situation is like. And the other big concern with being so isolated is that if people are in a dangerous situation, especially young people, there's not responsible adults or teachers or other good role models that can witness that and can take action against it. We don't have that. We're missing that terribly, which is why so many of these crime incidents are going up and not being reported because we just don't have the responsible people seeing it and doing something about it.
So I think we've pretty clearly established the problem, but when we come back, we're going to talk about your collaboration on a solution. Stay with us. Welcome back to The Insider. I'm Lisa Adams. My guests are Paul Lukacs, Executive Director of the Crime Victim Center of Erie County, and Mike Chevalier, President and CEO of Preferred Systems, Inc. And your organizations have come together to work on the needs of inner city kids to help them stay on a good path. So let's talk about the idea to collaborate. How did that start, and how did your organizations come together? How recent is this?
Marcus Atkinson actually brought us together, and he's brilliant and he does amazing things in our community, and he saw these two good organizations that he interacted with and works with, both of us, and thought this could happen. And as we got together, as Michael and I got together and talked about this, and our counterparts and our other associates, we thought, wow, this makes a whole lot of sense. Preferred Systems has a gateway to and a trust that we can use to bring our programs in, and our evidence-based work it dovetails very nice with the work they're already doing. So it's turning into a very natural fit, and we're very excited to see what the outcomes are going to be in the next couple of months and years ahead.
So Mike, from your perspective, what's the benefit of working together, and how will this work with other initiatives, say Unified Erie, which was also an evidence-based program in this same space?
Now, we're in the community. We're actually in the areas where the people are having the problems. We're working with that community. We have the trust of the kids as well as the parents in that area. So by opening and opening those doors, we're able to make the referrals when we see the problems, work with them and make the referrals when we see the trauma, we see the issues that they're dealing with, and when they need the help, we can make the referrals to Crime Victim Center and have them do the follow-up and get into the crust of what's going on and make the help that they need.
So again, maybe that depends on what the seriousness is of someone's issue, whether that referral is made. So talk, both of you, about what your relationship is with Erie Police. We know they've been working to strengthen police and community partnerships so communication happens if there is crime or if there is a problem. So talk about how you do or maybe don't work with police.
We interact with law enforcement in a great extent because of the work we do, because we are working on behalf of people who've been affected by crime. So obviously that goes hand in hand. We also work very closely with the justice system, and we are advocates for all of our clients in the courtroom or any other legal assistance that they may need from us. So those things are really important. We also know that there are issues, and that our local community and our local mayor is taking great steps to navigate those and to make things better. But the purpose and the reality of our work is that we have to have a relationship with law enforcement, and we try to do our best to not only inform and enlighten them, but to work with them and serve the needs that they have in the community as well.
So in most cases, Paul, would you say that a victim comes to you, or maybe is referred through this emergency hotline, or are you already seeing referrals that are coming through what Preferred Systems is up to?
All of the above, Lisa. We are getting referrals from all these different places. We're hoping to strengthen the referrals we get from Preferred Systems. Again, they are just doing amazing work. They are feet on the ground. They are where we want to be. So the collaboration is fantastic. But resources and people come to us from a variety of places.
And Mike, how do your counselors that are feet on the ground and in the schools, how do they know when, oh, this is starting to be outside of my scope, I need to refer this? How do they make those decisions?
They make those decisions because of the fact that they've been working with the people. They have that special relationship with them. They have the trust, they have the bond. And once they start seeing that there is issues that are beyond their scope, they make that referral. They bring in the counselor from Crime Victim Center and say, look, we have this issue, and it's that trust level. A lot of times our kids and their parents, they would never go further in the counseling because of the trust issue. But because of our expertise and working with them and the trust and our guidance in directing them over to Crime Victim Center, they'll go and they'll start working with them. Because before that, they would just try, they don't, it's the area of trust, and that's the area that we're trying to deal with.
So what other partners, just briefly here, might you have in the community? Are churches involved in this process too? Do you have some other partners that are also really working with the same goals that you have?
All the community centers that we work with, and the Housing Authority, and the YMCA summer program that we work with. There's a lot of organizations that we have our boots on the ground, and we work with them. And the urban area is another one that we work with.
Well, so much energy, I know, is focused on prevention of crime and preventing somebody from going in a wrong direction. But what happens after crime has occurred? We'll talk a little bit more about that when we come back. Welcome back. We've been talking with Paul Lukash from the Crime Victim Center and Mike Chevalier from Preferred Systems, two organizations now working together. So obviously you intend, there's a prevention piece to this, certainly what you're doing in the schools, Mike. But what about after the crime occurs? Obviously that's where CVC is focused. Talk about trauma for kids and their families who witness criminal activity or maybe have been personally impacted. If they don't get help, what happens?
Yeah, so you're right. The trauma piece is huge, and it's not just about the person who was directly involved with the crime. It's about the family and the loved ones and the friends who are part of that as well. And we know that if people don't seek help, if they don't get to talk about their problems, if they don't get to sort out these feelings, they tend to do very dangerous activities, including alcohol abuse, drug abuse, suicidal ideation, and all of those kind of ugly things that go along with those horrible monsters that keep cropping up into your mind. So it's paramount to talk about these things. It's paramount to sort out people's emotions and to put the bad things behind them.
Yeah, and I would imagine that your counselors at the school level, Mike, sometimes you start out talking with a youth about a certain issue, but there's really a much deeper issue behind that.
Very much so, very much so. We get into it, and we start off with this little comment, and it blows up into this major issue where it's like, okay, this is what we have to deal with, and we better start dealing with bringing Crime Victim Center into this, and that's how we start dealing with it. But we start off with this small little issue, and it blows up into something bigger, and that's when our people know that we got to make a referral.
So we're talking about this collaboration, but how long has this been going on? Did this start during the pandemic?
Yes, it has.
And is it bearing fruit, Paul, from your perspective?
It's already bearing fruit. It's in its early stages, and we hope this will be a long and several years of really good, fruitful work. But it's already bearing fruit. Preferred Systems has a footprint, and they have an ability to get to places where we need to see people that we're not getting to. So we're very excited about that, and we're very excited to continue to move forward in great ways with this collaboration.
So last two quick thoughts here. I mean, I'm sure you're looking forward to the time when you can counsel with people face to face, but how can people support the work that you're doing here?
Sharing with each other, being informed about what the Crime Victim Center does and what Preferred System does, and sharing that information. For the Crime Victim Center, we rely heavily on donations and fundraising. Fundraising is going to be tough this year. Any support that the community can give us in the form of donations and support, but also sharing our message is absolutely important to making sure our work continues.
And Michael, if an organization, say a school or a group, would like to have help from Preferred Systems, how should people reach out to you?
And just give us, look us up, go to our website. We're more than happy to help out in any school system that we can work in.
A last quick question. If this produces the results that you want, what will it mean for the larger community, Paul?
A better county, a better community for everybody. A happier place and a safer place to live, to work, and to have fun.
And helping our kids leave a normal, productive life. That's what we're trying to do.
Well, thanks to both of you for being with us and enlightening us about this new collaboration between Preferred Systems and the Crime Victim Center of Erie County. Again, both organizations have websites if you want to learn a little bit more about what they are up to. And as always, thank you for joining us here on The Insider. Thank you to both of my guests. If you have an idea that you'd like us to explore, just email me at ladams@wicu12.com and join us again next time for The Insider.